Do you expect to go to prison?
I'm not focusing on that right now. I don't think I tried to commit fraud anywhere here. I was trying to do the best I could. Obviously, that wasn't nearly as good as I thought it was. But honestly, it's not what I'm focusing on right now. This is about the customers at the end of the day. Like, there's one of me, there are millions of them. And I don't think it's right for me to be focusing on what happens to me here. I think I should be focusing on what can be done for customers.
I think that what a lot of people are struggling with here is that, you were an MIT physics major.
Yep.
You are, by all accounts, a very smart guy. How is it possible that you overlooked this more than $5 billion problem?
I ask myself a lot how I made a series of mistakes that they don't just seem dumb. They seem like the type of mistakes I could see myself having ridiculed someone else for having made. The kind of mistakes that I would have considered myself to have been above.
It's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I don't think so.
And that was because as a global crypto exchange at the time, almost none of them were able to get, global banking. Some customers still wanted to onboard fiat currencies though. FTX was maintaining cryptocurrency wallets, but not banking accounts. And so some of them would wire money to Alameda and then ask to be credited on their FTX account.
How much of this customer money was wired to the Alameda bank accounts?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but my estimation is I think more than half.
More than half?
More than half of Alameda's total position came via that method.
Was there double counting going on?
There was not double counting from FTX's financials. FTX's financials were correctly, effectively debiting this amount from total customer balances on FTX.
So let's say Bob wires $100 to one of these Alameda bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Bob checks his FTX screen. FTX has credited his account.
That's
says
right.
He's got $100.
Yep.
But behind the scenes, Alameda goes and does something with that money.
Yeah. Alameda has -1. Was it $100 that?
$100.
Yeah. Alameda then should have -$100 on FTX, right? Because effectively, or at least that would be one way to mechanic this, right? Would be Bob sends to Alameda over here off of FTX through a wire transfer. Then on FTX, Alameda sends to Bob. But the whole key there is you need to keep track of that negative Alameda piece, of the fact that Alameda is crediting other people, thus that should be debiting from the funds that they have on FTX.
How is it that as a 90% owner of the firm and founder of the firm who was close with the leadership, you didn't know what was going on?
The thing is, I was busy. FTX was a full-time job. I was more than a full-time job. And I didn't have enough brain cycles left to understand everything going on at Alameda if I wanted to. I also didn't want to because I was concerned about conflicts of interest. And I felt like it would be inappropriate for me to be, looped into, certainly to details of what was going on there. It caused me to not dig in very much, to not try to engage very much on what Alameda was doing. It was a huge oversight, obviously. But the honest answer is, obviously I should have been.
What's next after FTX's collapse? The recent collapse of the FTX token has further shaken the crypto market and caused a series of damage with the prospect of more damage. The crypto community is in shock and concerns are being raised, but now is not a time for worries or concerns, but rather to review all that we've learned from FTX's collapse and probably what lies in the future. Many questions are unanswered in the wake of its collapse. Let's look at what will happen next after the company's failure. 1. Inflows into short investment products. The aftermath of FTX's collapse has soured crypto investor sentiment with record inflows into short investment products. At the same time, institutional investors have poured into crypto-focused short investment products at record levels. It is believed that about 75% of institutional crypto investors' total inflows over the past week were placed in short investment products, which are nothing but bets that the prices of cryptos will fall, most likely as a direct result of the FTX collapse. Institutional investors' AUM has decreased to $22 billion, the lowest level since June 2017. More than $14 million was poured into short Ether, the largest weekly investment on record. Suspicions are on the Shanghai upgrade for Ethereum, slated for September 2023, as a reason for the negative sentiment. But it doesn't affect Ethereum alone. Bitcoin and short products were said to have an AUM of $173 million, approaching the $186 million high. Altcoins are also seeing inflows in Solana and Polygon, which saw inflows of $42 million over the week. The sentiments can also be attributed to investor distrust of centralized exchanges. It is also apparent in the traditional finance market, perhaps a short rippling effect, causing Coinbase to reach an all-time low share price on November 21st. Although it had recovered at the time of producing this video, it still traded in the negatives. 2. Extradition. Another event following FTX's collapse is the possibility of extradition, as SBF might face it if he or the FTX founder's legal team withdraws. The Supreme Court of the Bahamas has authorized 2 provisional liquidators from PricewaterhouseCoopers to run the assets of the cryptocurrency exchange, which is based there. In accordance with the Bahamas anti-money laundering (AML) laws, there is the possibility that SBF will be extradited back to the US for questioning. According to the Financial Crimes Investigation Agency of Turkey, FTX was monitored following Turkish AML laws. As the entrepreneur's legal representative, Paul Weiss's withdrawal from SBF's case doesn't look encouraging. The law firm's cryptic tweets may have harmed FTX's restructuring efforts and negatively affected the SBF messages. To hear from Bankman Fried in Congress would certainly be fascinating. The United States House Financial Services Committee has already scheduled a December hearing to investigate cryptocurrency exchange FTX's demise and wider consequences for the digital asset ecosystem. 3. Emergence of scams. In the wake of FTX's collapse, different kinds of scams related to the defunct exchange will hit the crypto space. One such scam is the attempt to defraud investors affected by cryptocurrency exchange FTX's bankruptcy, using Sam Bankman-Fried's poorly made deepfake video that is circulated on Twitter. The scam uses programs to mimic SBF's appearance and voice. Although poorly made, the deepfake video directs users to a malicious site in order to double your cryptocurrency. The Bankman-Fried's deepfake video appears to be an interview using old footage and an impressionist voice emulator to simulate SBF. The fake Bankman-Fried then instructs users to a website to double your cryptocurrency in an apparent double your crypto scam, where users send crypto in exchange for the double back. According to Cryptocurrency News, scammers breached the S4GE ETH Twitter account, leading to scam websites setting up. The widely ridiculed video featured an amateurish production used to advertise a fraudulent investment opportunity. It is thought that the account was compromised in this way. To gain blue-tick verification from Twitter, scammers had to pay a small fee. While the scam attempt allowed many to criticize the FTX founder, it gave many a chance to express their offense at the fraudulent Bankman-Fried. The video received widespread scorn from members of the crypto community who found it embarrassingly bad. Authorities in Singapore on November 19th warned affected FTX users and investors to be vigilant as websites offering services promising to assist in recovering crypto stuck on the exchange are scams that mostly steal information such as account logins. 4. Liquidation. In the latest revelation from the FTX case, it has been confirmed that the company used millions of dollars to buy real estate in the Bahamas. According to news reports, at least 19 properties were acquired in 2 years. This adds to over $121 million, with some apartments untouched for months. When the liquidity crisis and bankruptcy scandal unfolded, it was seen that FTX had over 1 million creditors in total, with over $3 billion collectively owed to the 50 largest creditors, and court documents were filed. On November 21st, the United States Senate Committee announced an FTX hearing for December 1st. With each passing day, the trouble at FTX mounts, with the latest coming from the Bahamas, once its headquarters. The FTX bankruptcy filing revealed several financial holes in the disgraced cryptocurrency exchange's balance sheet. $3 billion is owed to 50 of FTX's biggest creditors, while the comprehensive list of creditors could exceed 1 million. John Ray III, who oversaw the Enron bankruptcy proceedings, has been named the new interim CEO of FTX. He pointed out the complete failure of corporate controls and inaccurate financial information in his corporate career as the worst he's seen. As a result, the FTX bankruptcy filing exposed several financial gaps in the disgraced cryptocurrency's exchange's balance sheet. Sam Bankman-Fried's battered set of companies holds $1.2 billion as of November 20th, well below the $3.1 billion owed to its top creditors, court records show. The $751 million held in debtor firms accounts for $751 million of the $1.2 billion in cash. In comparison, the remaining $488 million is held in non-debtor firms, per the document filed Monday by Alvarez and Marshall North America. $514 million is unrestricted cash, $260 million is custodial, and $465 million is restricted cash, which can't be used for general business purposes. After CoinDesk's report that a huge amount of Alameda's research assets were the crypto exchange's tokens, FTX fell from grace. In a disorderly manner, they filed for bankruptcy while mislabeling that some firms under the FTX umbrella also filed for bankruptcy protection. According to another court filing, the greatest reserve of cash, $393 million of the various entities with possible chances of starting withdrawals by the end of the year, belongs to Alameda.
So how many billions of dollars are we talking about, at least ballpark?
I think north of 5.
And so this was actual US dollars that customers transferred to Alameda bank accounts,
Yeah.
and they were credited for it on FTX.
Yeah, that's right.
So more than $5 billion were transferred into these Alameda bank accounts.
Yep.
It was then credited so that customers saw that they had that balance
Right.
on their screens.
Yep.
What actually happened to the dollars sitting in those bank accounts?
One phrasing of it one could use would be to say that Alameda effectively sent those dollars from its FTX account to the user, but that's a ledger transfer, of course. Outside of that, the answer is they were wired to Alameda. I can only speculate about what happened after that.
So you don't know what happened to those $5 billion?
They were wired to Alameda. I wasn't running Alameda, but I can now go back and take a guess at where they were ultimately spent or used or something. But dollars are fungible with each other, and so it's not like this $1 bill over here that you can trace through from start to finish. What you get is more just omnibus pots of assets of various forms.
But again, here's the thing: how do you account for maybe the difference in what people are hearing from insiders who are not being accused of fraud and you who sort of is? There's a very different sort of story going on here, where you're saying like, oh, there's this big position that we didn't know about. Because you told me that the last time we spoke in a space, and I went and followed up and I said, hey, is this true? Could it be that this number just wasn't known about? And some Alameda insiders said, no way. You could see on dashboards really simply where it was. And FTX dashboards, not Alameda dashboards that you yourself had access to. So my question is sort of like, it seems like when I go to Alameda insiders or FTX insiders, they're saying this story makes no sense. But when I go to you, who sort of has every incentive to sort of lie and obfuscate, because obviously the incentive here is, well, otherwise you might go to jail, which obviously would be a very bad thing for you. It seems like all of a sudden all the excuses come out, and then when we follow up on them, they don't seem to be true. So I don't know, like, help me square this, because, it'd be nice if you were telling the truth, but everything we're hearing from insiders is that you're not.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm saying what I believe. I don't know which insiders you're talking about. I don't know exactly what they said. It doesn't line up with my beliefs, but I can't speak to what they think or what they said.
But why are multiple people within your company at less senior roles knowing more about the company than you?
And Alameda was not a company that was running at the time, but I hear you. I'm sorry. I don't know exactly what you're referring to. I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know what they said. I don't.
Well, I'm telling you what some of what they said. I mean, for example, one of them was that there was like that backdoor system or whatever. A, that you knew it existed, and B, that it was easy to see the balance or the position of Alameda very simply on FTX dashboards. Because they had a margin trading account with you guys. So you guys could have seen it.
But
you guys could see the margin positions of everybody, no?
But a lot of the position did not appear in that main account.
So where was the position?
It was in a separate stub account, I believe, related to wire transfers that had been sent, to Alameda Research, generally primarily to FTX, having its own bank account.
I wanted to ask about the FTX terms of use.
Yep.
They say that you control the digital assets held in your account. They can't be loaned out, except there's also another part of the terms of use that talk about margin trading, in which there is actually language that says your money could be loaned out and it could disappear if somebody's trade goes bad. On FTX, did you have to opt in to do margin trading?
So for the peer-to-peer borrowed lending order book, you did, yes.
How many people and how much money was actually in that?
I don't know exactly off the top of my head. I think it was, I want to say $8 or $10 billion at the peak. I don't know what it is today.
Were you sweeping people into margin trading and allowing their collateral to be loaned out?
I honestly, off the top of my head, I don't know exactly what procedures we used to determine whether an account was, doing margin trading. Or I do remember, a way that people could have opted into it, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Was there a violation of the terms of use?
I don't know of a violation of the terms of use. I don't know every line of the terms of use. I can't confidently say there wasn't, but I don't know of one.
In some of the court filings, the new head of FTX has said that there was a secret exemption for Alameda from the normal auto liquidation protocols, which some people have called a backdoor. Can you tell us about this secret exemption?
I don't know exactly what was being referred to there. That has not been communicated to me beyond the public statements, nor was I consulted or asked on that. So I can only speculate about what was being referred to there. My guess is that may have been referring to wires sent to Alameda. I'm not sure. I can't speculate on exactly what he was referring to there.
But could Alameda be auto liquidated like any other customer?
I don't, again, have access to all of this right now. I believe that there was a system in place that I think Alameda and some other accounts were using, which did have some liquidation policies, but which were specific for larger positions. I actually don't know the details of that. These were things that I think like account managers and legal were working out together over the last year, and I was not deeply involved in that process. I do think that the larger accounts did have some amount of extra margin capacity in some cases.
So Alameda could take on riskier trades than other FTX customers?
I'm not sure, but I think there may have been cases where at least it could take on larger positions.
So this problem developed in which more than $5 billion of user funds was sent to Alameda, and it was not properly seen in the systems. It made Alameda's position seem much
less large than it was.
You only became aware at the beginning of November?
I don't remember the exact date, but it is somewhere around there, yeah. I was surprised at what happened when you added those numbers together. I don't know exactly when that notional became so large, that wire transfer piece. I think it was surprisingly recently, given that it was, because this was a sort of legacy system, right? We transitioned away from this system over time, but I think that some people just kept wiring to Alameda anyway. even after we had built out our own payment networks and removed any traces of that old pathway. And so I think it was maybe surprisingly recently that a lot of that happened as well.
Was Alameda using this money that came in to that account as part of its collateral on FTX?
Not to my knowledge, but I'm not sure.
But that is possible that was how it was being used?
I don't know what they did with which pieces of assets. And given that dollars are fungible with each other at the end of the day, I'm not sure it's even well defined to talk about whether it was those dollars or other dollars that were sent somewhere.
But if a dollar went in to one of those Alameda bank accounts, then it would have become part of the customer's margin position and part of Alameda's margin position.
It would have, if it had gone to an Alameda bank account, then it would become part of the customer's collateral on FTX, right? And it would have increased Alameda's margin position on FTX effectively.
I just wanted to quickly ask, so there's this big question about this $8 billion that went into some kind of a stub account. If I just want to get some clarification on this, from my understanding, what you're basically claiming is that back when FTX didn't have banking, you'd use Silvergate to have people to wire money to Alameda Research and then credit them on the FTX side, but you didn't actually account for that money going back to them. So essentially you had like $8 billion coming to FTX you didn't have on the books, technically. I mean, can you explain more how that worked? Because it seems like such a key part of this whole thing. And so far we've gotten like very vague things about stub accounts. Just try to be as specific as you can on how that actually happened.
Cryptocurrency exchange FTX has been dealing with the fallout of its own bankruptcy mess. However, its legal troubles are only beginning. It was revealed not too long ago from the production of this video that the cryptocurrency exchange had been secretly buying real estate in the Bahamas. One of the properties purchased by the exchange was reportedly a 5-bedroom home on the island of Eleuthera, costing $1.5 million. It was purchased for $2.5 million in 2015 and sold to FTX in 2017. The other completed purchase was a 20-acre development site in the Bahamas. Guaranty Development LLC bought the development site for $1.3 million in 2016, then sold it to FTX for $2.6 million. It is still being determined how the exchange came to own these properties. However, speculation is rife that it was bought for investment purposes and remained under the control of the exchange team until it filed for bankruptcy. FTX has been the biggest failure within the crypto industry in the last few years. It is a massive blow to the entire crypto community. The fact that the exchange used millions of dollars to buy real estate in the Bahamas is also a huge red flag. The value of cryptocurrencies has dropped since the news of the cryptocurrency exchange FTX's collapse was released, with the possibility of plummeting more. However, investors have made gains over the last week as short investment products have seen record inflows. The market has witnessed such an event before. It's definitely not going to be the last. What do you think about FTX's collapse? And what effect might it have on the crypto space? Do not hesitate to drop your thoughts and suggestions in the comment section. Also, hit the subscribe button for more videos like this.